Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action, and today we're back once again with the Dark Elves. We're going to be taking on our cousins, the High Elves, so let's get straight to the builds here. This is a nice sort of control artillery build, which is not super common for the Dark Elves. We've got 3 Reaper Bolt Throwers with a very wide line of infantry, lots of Bleak Swords, Dread Spears, a single group of the Regiment of Renowned Witch Elves here, the Sisters of Singing Doom, with Morathi, of course, on foot. Got Soul Stealer and Power of Darkness, as well as Melkoth's Mystifying Miasma, just to put out as much magic damage as possible, and also get some good self-healing. In addition to protecting the backline, we've got 3 groups of Cold One Knights. We've also got a Feral Manticore up moving forward, and some Dark Riders with shields as well. For my opponent, he's going to be led by a Lithanar on foot. He's also got a Handmaiden and a Light Mage here with Foz Protection, Nets, and Banishment. We've got some Spearmen and Phoenix Guard up front, 2 Sisters of Avalorn, including the Everqueen's Court Guards, 2 Shadow Warriors, and some more Spearmen out to the flanks. So, let's get this battle rolling. And one of the reasons I quite like the Reaper Bolt Throwers in this matchup, a number of reasons. Number one, they're good at helping to counter enemy heavy cavalry, so things like Dragon Princes, Silver Helms, things like that. And the Scatter Shot is very good at counter-firing enemy skirmishers. So you can see I'm immediately going to target these Sisters of Avalorn here, and we're going to target them with the Scatter Shot. The Scatter Shot doesn't do the most damage in the world, but against a lower armor target, and with multiple Bolt Throwers firing, we should be able to get some good damage done. You can see the initial volleys there don't do a whole lot. Foz Protection there to increase the armor up to 70 for the Everqueen's Court Guards, just to make them a little bit tankier against that fire, but the 1 Bolt Thrower is currently in range. The other 2 Bolt Throwers still making their way forward to be able to get into a firing position here. But yeah, Manticore is just kind of chilling on station, doing a bit of scouting. My opponent's now going to start to advance here. And obviously the Shadow Warrior is currently hidden right now, but you can see the Everqueen's Court Guards are going to start to take some serious damage here. And, I mean, they are getting buffed up significantly. I kind of get what my opponent was going for here. He's got a Lithanar. If we go ahead and look, these guys have tons of buffs on them. They've got the Quicksilver Shot, Horn of Isha, Enchanted Spyglass, Martial Prowess, of course, Dark in the Skies, Stone of Midnight. So they have lots of missile resistance, and their refire rate is significantly juiced up. But, of course, with all of this long-range, artillery firing in, they're taking a lot of damage before they can get too close. We're going to switch to the other group of Sisters of Avalorn now, having taken down only 2 unit models there, despite all the HP damage done. That's quite interesting. But swinging the Dark Riders up and around, the Manticore, still not sure. Yeah, it looks like I pulled him back a ways. But, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Lithanar was shooting the Manticore. That's why I pulled him back. Now I remember. But Bleak Swords, Dread Spear is going to come down the hill and start to meet these Spearmen in melee. And we're going to try and fight them at an arm's length away from the Bolt Throwers, obviously, since my opponent doesn't have any mobile units, he doesn't have any Dragon Princes or anything like that. As long as I keep the fight away from my Bolt Throwers, should be relatively safe here. But they're going to continue firing in this backline area and just wrecking through these Everqueen Court Guards and more. You can see Bleak Swords, Dread Spears coming in, gonna get the engagement underway. So very cool thematic battle. Dark Elves and High Elves, of course. And over here, Sisters of Singing Doom and Morathi gonna get involved. Morathi actually gets netted here, and it looks like they're trying to focus fire on her. We did drop a Soul Stealer here to drain out the Phoenix Guard. We hit the Light Mage as well, so that is going to heal Morathi also, but it looks like my opponent's going to respond with a Banishment here on top of my 1 unit of high-value infantry. Actually does some decent damage. Let's see. Is this Banishment going to hang around? It kind of clips through the edge of the unit. It does get a few of those Phoenix Guard as well, but it did do quite a bit of damage to those Sisters of Singing Doom. You can see they just lost a ton of HP. They're probably going to rout off now, unfortunately. But yeah, we drop the Manticore for a quick tear route, get those Spearmen off the field so that we can start to collapse the backline. The Dark Riders had been tying up the Shadow Warriors. They are beaten back at this point, but they at least had been able to keep them tied down for some time, keep the Manticore alive, and some of my other lower armor, higher value targets. You can see the Everqueen's Court Guards, though, just getting continuously torn to shreds by those Reaper Bolt Throwers. A little bit of an unfortunate Moonbow shot meant for Morathi, actually hits that tree instead. So a little bit of tough stuff there, but now we're going to switch to the Shadow Warriors in the back line. They do have pretty long range, and they're able to fire relatively effectively. It looks like they're trying to go after potentially Morathi or the Manticore. Manticore is going to drop down and take out this Light Mage here. Just get rid of my opponent's Winds of Magic. And yeah, another Soul Stealer goes down. Gonna hit these Everqueen's Court Guards, try and finish off these Phoenix Guard as well. It's more meant against single entity targets, but again, any kind of extra magic damage here to wear down these Phoenix Guard. Morathi's also killed 27 of them by herself. Well, we now have the Manticore going after Elithanar since we dealt with the Light Mage. And I'm going to try and snipe out the High Elf leadership here. You can see the balance of power has turned in my favor. Got some regrouped Dark Riders, and the Murderous Prowess is finally kicking off map-wide here. You can see Bleak Sword's going to win quite handily over these Spearmen here. Meanwhile, Dread Spears will lose to High Elf Spearmen, but nonetheless, Elithanar able to do a bit of damage here. The Manticore's taking some Overwatch fire from those Shadow Warriors as well, so he's taking a bit of damage. But yeah, in the meantime, Elithanar popping Slippery to give himself a lot more melee defense. He has very high melee defense for a skirmish character. Wow, 62 melee defense baseline. I mean, not necessarily baseline, but with Martial Prowess, obviously with that Slippery active, that's going to be very, very high. But Manticore getting a little bit lower on HP and leadership. The Bolt Thrower is not quite able to silence this group of Shadow Warriors before they're able to rout them off, but balance power is still pretty heavily in my favor at this point. Most of the High Elf infantry shut down, and the expensive skirmishers are just getting wrecked by these Bolt Throwers here. Just about used up all of the ammo on the Reaper Bolt Throwers, getting pretty close to being out, but despite the fact Elithanar actually popped his decoy there and went hidden, I was still able to get the Soul Stealer off before he went into stock. So yeah, did a bit of damage there, again keeping Morathi nice and healthy. She's now fighting Elithanar's Shadow here, which is just fine. The few Everqueen's Court Guards, or sorry, the Sisters of Avalorn that remain are firing in here. It looks like, yeah, some Shadow Warriors as well, but Sisters of Singing Doom going to now push into the back line, having regrouped from their earlier defeat, and they are going to get in here, cut up these Sisters of Avalorn quite well, so fun stuff. This is what people want to see, right? Oh man, the synchronized decapitations. And the last of the Everqueen's Court Guards are going to get, or sorry, the Sisters of Avalorn are going to get finished off there. Elithanar gets terrified by the Sisters of Singing Doom, you know, uvulating at him. And that'll be it. So, fun battle. Well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. Interesting build for my opponent. I see what he was going for there, just in terms of juicing up these skirmish units as much as possible with these different buffs, and then using the Light Mage to net things down and then just shoot the crap out of them. But unfortunately, my build here was able to bring an effective counter. The Reaper Bolt Throwers obviously all racking up quite a few kills, using up all of their ammo, and dealing with the enemy skirmishers quite effectively. The Cold One Knights I actually ended up forgetting until the very late game, so they didn't really contribute much to the battle. But Bleak Swords, Dread Spears, if you help support them with Morathi, you know Morathi can drop debuffs on your enemies, and then just in general help do some AoE splash damage as well. If you support the other infantry, they can do quite well. You can see 77, 79 on some Bleak Swords is not bad at all. And yeah, 13 kills on XP Chevron on the Manticore. Very useful for sniping out those characters in the back. We were able to take down the Light Mage, do a ton of damage to Elithanar as well, so very useful stuff. Yeah, for my opponent's build, I do think you need some mobility here. Personally, I would probably cut the Shadow Warriors. Let's go ahead and take a look at it in the post-battle screen here. I think that's probably just a little bit of an overinvestment in terms of skirmish power. Personally, I like Illyrian Reavers a little bit better than the Shadow Warriors anyway, because they're skirmish cav. They can be a little bit more mobile or run around and do different sorts of things. So if we were to take Elithanar here, I'm not sure. I believe he had all of his abilities, which does make him quite expensive. But probably going to leave the Shadow Crown at home. We'll take the Stone of Midnight. Moonbow can be good sometimes too, but it does make him quite expensive. I might also cut Slippery, personally, just to save on a little bit of cost, but it's really not that much, so maybe we hang on to it. We'll grab the Handmaiden here. I want to say she was on a horse. You can cut Foe Seeker and just keep the item there, and then she had other items. And then, yeah, so because we're already spending a lot to juice up our ranged units, rather than taking 2 Sisters of Avalorn, I'm just going to take the 1 regular Sister of Avalorn and instead just take some cheaper archers. And that'll allow us to get just more volume of fire for a bit cheaper and not compromise so much on the infantry line. Now we can actually afford to take, you know, 4 spearmen. The Phoenix Guard, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of them either in this matchup. Maybe you take some Swordmasters of Hoeth, but some heavy cavalry would probably be a good idea as well. Dragon Princess can do very well in this matchup, so maybe we grab a couple units of them, and then just finish up with a white lion, something like that, maybe. Or, you know, you could always even grab more skirmishers, grab another unit of skirmish cav, or even just, you know, more infantry skirmishers. That does leave you with some funds to then come in here and say, like, okay, maybe we want to upgrade this guy. Although I don't have a caster, so that is a bit of a problem. So let's grab a light mage. Definitely want to cut exorcism against the dark elves. Faw's protection's not too bad. Nets, though, is definitely going to be a good idea, and I might take nets, maybe even Barona's Time Warp as well, potentially. But let's just let's just see. With just nets, Faw's protection, we've still got about 300 points we need to cut somewhere. So, interesting. Yeah, I'd have to play around with this a little bit to figure out the costs. But something like this potentially is going to be quite useful, I think, against the Dark Elves. Just in general, the higher volume of fire with the regular archers, rather than getting, you know, so invested in the Shadow Warriors and lots of Sisters of Avalorn, this just gives you a little bit more volume of fire and allows you to take, you know, some other elements to your army, so you're not so much relying on that skirmish power to really get the work done. You could also maybe take a couple of bolt throwers of your own, but something like this I think might be pretty solid. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, though. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.